Hey, what's good with you people? Dogysamich here for another episode of the podcast. I know it's been a minute. Probably thought I forgot about you, but nah, I've been thinking about y'all. Have a job that can't leave unfinished. And so it's time to tell you about the second half of the dynamic duo of this summer's Baja limited edition Mountain Dew drinks. And I'm back this time with the Baja Caribbean Splash. And I actually can make this podcast very simple, but we're not going to do that. I got to drag this out a little bit. So I just finished a bottle of it that I bought a couple of weeks ago with the passion fruit punch. Took the first swig of it, and without looking at the bottle to see what it's supposed to taste like, the first thing that came to my mind shot straight into my mind, straight out of the fields. I was like, this tastes very watermelon-y. Yes, watermelon-y. I guess a lot of times where I'm talking about like drink podcasts or even food podcasts, there's going to be a lot of stuff that isn't real words that I'm making up. Anyways, but yeah, this has a real watermelon taste. That was my first impression. But then I took a couple more swigs of it and I was like, it's not so much watermelon. I guess it would be like maybe watermelon. I was also thinking grapefruit to some degree, but I'm not very versed in grapefruit, so I can't give you the exact taste descriptor of it. But what I was landing on was that it had like a subtle citrus taste. I'll get to that in a second, because looking at the bottle, it says that it's supposed to be a blast of natural and artificial guava flavor. Now, if I've ever had guava in my life, I couldn't tell you, because I haven't had it well over a decade, probably, well over 2 decades, probably. I can't even tell you where that lands on the fruit scale. I'm even assuming it's a fruit. I'm pretty sure it's a fruit. Anywho, yeah, that's what it's supposed to taste like. And I'm assuming that's somewhere in like the citrusy side of fruits, because that's basically what the drink felt like. It was relatively smooth taste, just like most of Mountain Dews, unless they start venturing into the crazy flavors. We're not talking about those here. But it's pretty smooth, had a little bit of the citrusy taste. I don't want to specifically say citrusy, though, even though I've said it like 3 or 4 times at this point, because when I say citrus, I start thinking of like the oranges and stuff like that, and there's like a spectrum of flavor that you start getting in your mouth. I've kind of talked about this a little bit before. There's a little bit of the bite that it was having in the taste, like a very, very little subtle bit of it. I want to say a more accurate word to describe this, or more accurate adjective, would be acidy. I don't want to say acidic. I don't really want to say acidy, because when I say that, it kind of starts painting a negative picture in my head of like, a bad aftertaste, like a little bit of kickback, maybe start bringing a little reflux up in some people, and it doesn't do all that. It doesn't do all that, but the point I'm making is you kind of feel it a little bit, like a very, very little bit, which you expect when you're drinking Mountain Dew. You know, it's supposed to have a little bit of energy to it, but it's okay. It's okay. After finishing the bottle and trying to think really hard before I started this podcast, I was like, it kind of, sort of, vaguely reminds me of Code Red, I want to say. I actually have it on my notes that wasn't when I finished, because I said, reminds me of Code Red, and takes another sip. I don't know how true that is, because I haven't had Code Red since Code Red literally debuted God knows how many years ago. Like, I'm not that much of a Code Red fan. But it makes me think of that. Like, I do distinctly remember the taste of Code Red, because I had it a few times back then, and I was not too fond of it. And this Caribbean Splash, I had to make sure I had the correct name, Baja Caribbean Splash, it vaguely reminds me of like a subtle Code Red. Also said it loosely, very, very loosely, makes me think of Major Melon and Twisted Apple. I don't want to say reminds me or tastes like it, but it feels more akin to those, I would say, which I guess it's all falls in the Baja family, realistically, this is like in the core of exotic Mountain Dews, if you will. So they're pretty similar. They're related. That's the best way to put it. But at the end of it all, this Caribbean Splash, it's okay. It's like is really the best way I can describe it, because with the 3 questions that are coming up, you know, the infamous 3 that I'm tagging on to anything, still looking for a trademark name. I had to think really hard about all of them, and I spent at least 2 or 3 minutes on each question. I was like, First one being, do I hate it? Not really. Firmly in the I don't care territory, but it's skirting a little more on the side of do not want. And again, it's not like a bad thing. It's not like a repulsive taste that I just would not want to put into my body. It's just, it's there. It's all right. Kind of drinking like I did for this podcast, drinking in passing, not really think too much of it. It's not going to get me excited. It's okay. Would I be upset if it was the only thing available to drink? A little bit. A little bit. A little bit because, again, like, it doesn't do anything. It's just, it doesn't even hint at a palate that I'm interested in. It doesn't even try. Well, I can't say it doesn't try to remind me of something I like, because, again, a little bit of the citrusy, but it's nothing to really write home about. Surprised it made it into the podcast, but I'm Tish. Would I buy another one? Like, this is another one I sat and I thought about for at least 2 or 3 minutes, and I was trying to think of a future scenario, any future scenario where I would buy one, and I can't think of one. Like, it's not something that I would avoid. Like, yeah, maybe I should make a podcast of the dues I would avoid. There's like 2 or 3 of them, but it's not in that category, not at all. But this is really, it's in the worst place for anything that I have opinion on, which is completely in the middle, completely forgettable, and in large something I just don't have a yay or nay opinion about. Because as soon as I get done with this podcast, I will not be surprised if I never think about it again without it in my sight. It's just, it's I mean, I know a couple people who actually like it a whole lot more than passion fruit punch. I know a few people, or 2 people specifically, who they have nothing but high praises for Caribbean Splash, but I'm not one of them, so it's okay, I guess. If you haven't tried it and you're interested, give it a shot. You might like it. I'm pretty sure you will not dislike it. That is the one thing that I have a lot of confidence in saying. I guess I could tag that in. I am pretty sure that people will not dislike it. It's just a question of, do you like it and how much do you like it? So yeah, before they take them off the shelves again, which a reminder, if you're having a hard time finding them out in the wild, I got a tip from the homie Silver. Big up to Silver, especially if you made it all the way through this, who got an inside scoop that said both of these should be pretty frequently found at Dollar Generals of all places. I did see a 12-pack of passion fruit punch in Kroger a couple times, and I actually went to Kroger today to get some groceries, and I saw bottles of both Caribbean Splash and passion fruit punch. So it's starting to make it out into the wild, starting to make it out and mingle with the other drinks in society. So again, give it a shot. I didn't mind though. And that's all I got for this one. Got to think a little bit about what's going to happen next. I might just rant and rave about some stuff for a while. I keep saying I'm going to make a list of things to just yell about and just put some stuff up there for people. We'll talk about it. Until next time, be easy, yo. Peace.